Hey guys, it's Adam for It's Tea Time 210. I believe this is week 33. If you guys have any topics or suggestions, please send them our way. We'd love to add some things, and we'd like to address topics that are important to you guys. And thanks to everybody who subscribed and everybody who's on this channel. You guys really did a great job. I apologize, like I said again, for this video being late. I've been sort of sick this week. Had a really sore throat, and I was out 2 days from work. So yeah. Anyways, this topic is about kids, and this topic doesn't actually really address me because, like I mentioned in my video about having kids, I'm not too interested in having children. It's a possibility. I don't want to rule it out. I possibly would adopt, but it's nothing that's going to be happening anytime in my immediate future that I see. Um, but if I did have children, I would definitely tell them. I think that if you want to have a good, respectful relationship that needs trust, and obviously, um, when you're an adult in the relationship and you have a child, there's a different type of respect and trust. And I wouldn't tell my kid when they were born or when I first adopted them. I don't think that that's important for them to know then. However, I would raise them at whatever age to understand about gender and sexuality and I guess what you would call alternative lifestyles. I don't really see them as that, but I think that it's important for children to be exposed to lots of different things and to realize that there's not one type of marriage, one type of love, one type of understanding, that there's a diverse amount of things out there, and one way isn't right, and another way wrong. It's whatever works for you and that type of a thing. So, um, if I'd be talking about a child from birth that I would have, I probably would say around 2 or 3, I'd start talking to them a little bit about gender and sexuality to the basic degree that you would. The idea of explaining same-sex partnerships and heterosexual partnerships and marriage, all that sort of basic thing as a child is learning and picking up on the relationships between people. I think it's important for them to understand that those relationships that aren't heterosexual are just as valid and just as important and do exist. Whether I'm friends with a gay or lesbian person who has a partner or not, I think it's important for them to understand about that. And I do include transgender in there too. I do think that it's important for them. I think that at age 2 or 3, it's a little hard um, for them to just understand. Again, I don't have children and I don't know a lot about child psychology. I'm sure you guys who have younger brothers, sisters, cousins might know a little bit better. But I think it is important, to play the father role and, however you determine that to be at peace with your masculinity and your maleness, and as being a man, for your son or daughter to look to as a strong male role model and image. Um, so yeah, that's sort of how I feel about that. I would say probably before teenage years, I would tell my child or children, um, just because I think that there's a lot of distance that puberty can put, and a lot of strain that they can put on the relationship, and I think it's important when they're at the age where teasing and things can sometimes get out of hand, that they do understand about things and my whole situation and how it relates to them, and that they realize that this isn't some abstract concept of a person or like an attitude they're never going to run into. um, I want them to feel comfortable with any type of person, whatever. If I am friends with anybody who's going through a transition while I have children, that definitely might be explained to them more specifically than if that doesn't really happen or come up. So, like I said, it sort of depends on the situation. Of course, it depends on the kid. It depends on their maturity and their understanding, comprehension, that type of stuff. So, I guess I have very little of any advice to offer on this topic, just that I do think it's important to tell them at definitely at some point, and I think sooner is better than later because later they can feel like you lied to them or whatever. And I do think it's important, like during puberty, men seek other men, and not that you don't want your son to come talk to you about things, and not that you can't explain things adequately. But I do think it is important for him to know that you're biologically different than he is, and you've gone through a different transition and a different puberty than he will. So yeah, that's my blah on the whole thing. I will see you guys on time next week. Again, I apologize about being late, and thank you all for subscribing, watching, participating, whatever. See you next week. Peace.